Welcome back to my channel. We often see inequalities written down as just a one-line equation. But how do we solve a real-life inequality word problem? Let's get into it right now.
It's like every day.
So here, Derek has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of winter. He wants to have at least $200 by the end of the winter. He withdraws $25 weekly for food, clothing, and takeouts. Write an equality that represents Derek's situation. And then the next question is, how many weeks can he withdraw money from his savings account? So there's two things that we have to do here. So the first thing is we have to write an equality that represents his situation, and in doing so, we'll be answering how many weeks he can withdraw money from his account. So I think the first thing to do here is to underline pertinent information. So he's got $500 in his account, so let's underline that, right? And then he wants to save, or he wants to have, I should say, at least $200 by the end of the winter. So he withdraws $25 a week for whatever he needs that for. And then so we can write our inequality. This is supposed to say inequality. All right, I know you were probably all shouting at me for that. It says equality. Right, so write an inequality that represents Derek's situation. Now here, how do you know that this is an inequality question? First of all, it says at least 200. So anytime you hear the language at least, it means it has to be 200 or more, right? So he has 500. Let's start to write it. He has 500 in his savings account, but he has to withdraw 25 a week, $25 weekly. And he's withdrawing, so that should have been underlined, right? He's withdrawing, which is subtract. And that's $25 per week. So that's represented by the variable W. All right. And then at least 200 would be more than or equal to 200. So when you're solving an inequality, this represents like an equal sign, right? So then how would we solve this? So we're saying 500 minus 25W is more than or equal to 200. Well, what's the objective here? The objective is to get the variable by itself. And in this case, the variable is W. So we're asking ourselves, how many weeks can he withdraw the money? So we have to get this away from the variable, right? So we do that by doing the opposite, right? So we have to minus 500. And then what we do on one side of the inequality, we do on the other side. So minus 500 on one side, we have to minus 500 also on this side. Now this is gone. So we've actually got rid of that now, right? So what do we have left? We have minus 25 is more than or equal to, and then we have to solve this half. So 200 minus 500 is going to give us a minus number, right? So that's going to give us minus 300. Now we're still trying to solve for the how many weeks. So what we have to do now is we want to solve for the W, but this minus 25 is with it. So to get rid of that, we have to do the opposite operation, which is divide, because this is 25 times W. So we have to divide. So W is more than or equal to the minus 300, and we bring this minus 25 underneath it, which represents the division that we're doing. Right? So now we have to know, okay, so how many times does the minus 25 go into, or how much does 25 go into 300, right? Because what's going to happen here is when you divide and you have minus signs, these cancel. So they cancel out. So how many times does 25 go into 300? It goes 12 times. But here's a rule for inequalities, is that you have to reverse your sign because we're dividing by a negative number. So W now is less than or equal to 12. Right? So then the number of weeks that Keith can withdraw money from his account is 12 weeks or less. So let's have a look. How would we show that on the number line down here on the graph, right? If we were to graph this, right? So if you look at my previous video, you'll see that there's an open or closed circle going on here. So obviously it says less than or equal to 12. So we're going to go on the 12, but is it going to be an open circle or is it going to be a closed circle? Well, it's going to be a closed circle because we're including the 12 because it's 12 weeks or less. So we are closing the circle and then it's less than, right? So you're going all the way down here where you're going to draw your line. Yes, it's looking messy, but I want it to be seen. All right, so I'm going to use my pen and do it. I didn't want it look too crazy with the marker. All right, so the number of weeks that Derek can withdraw money from his account is 12 weeks or less, and this is how you would represent it on the graph. Hopefully that example gave you an idea of how inequalities can be used in the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe with that notification bell so you know every time I upload, which is every Wednesday. And I will see you next time in another math video. Thank you for watching. Class dismissed.
Every day.